welcome, everyone. Welcome to the members of the Evolutionary Leaders Circle. This is our first community call of the year 2025. And because this is a special Congress of Synergy Circles, we are also welcoming members of the Synergy Circles. And so it's great to all be together for this very special event. So this is the first ever Congress of Synergy Circles. The Synergy Circles, under the coordination of Dr. Kurt Johnson and now joined by Roger Briggs, have been doing wonderful work in bringing all that we believe and all that we stand for out into action in the world in so many different domains. And we are so looking forward to hearing from all of the active synergy, thematic synergy circles today, including a special presentation from the Artists Catalyzing Evolution Synergy Circle, which we'll kind of do in the middle when we've had some talking already. But we do like to start all of our meetings with a little bit of silence and coming into coherence together. And I'm delighted that to do that today, we have our just wonderful keeper of the flame, Reverend Paulette Pipe. Thank you. Welcome, Paulette.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. So this will be a simple exercise where we're just going to close our eyes if it's safe and comfortable to do so where you are. And just tune into your body, noticing everything that you can feel down the front of your body. As you breathe gently and deeply. And then turn your attention to the back of your body. What are you feeling or experiencing now? As you begin to tune in with each heart, each soul in this circle. Take a deep breath in, and as you exhale slowly and fully, turn your attention to your left side. Another deep breath in. Slowly exhale, turning your attention to the right side. Breathe in again, deeply. And as you slowly exhale all the air, turn your attention to those in the circle that we can sense above us, below us, to the left and to the right of us. And imagine that this is not a space of boxes, but circles. And we are in heart coherence with this never-ending circle of circles. Now bring your attention to your heart space at the center of your chest. Breathe deeply here. And as you exhale, imagine that you are emitting light, a vibration of love throughout the entire space to all those gathered here and those who are in our circles but not here present. We are in our unity of purpose, here to serve with and for the joy of it, with the support of those around us, to make a difference in the world in a way that only we can, with the gifts and talents we've been called to share. And we make room and we make space for those bring in their talents, their gifts, their ideas, their consciousness and their vibration of love into our circles. And now, united in heart and mind in this holy purpose, we rest for a moment in the silence. I am a being of light in a circle of light, and love and sacred service is my holy purpose. Allow these words spoken to be the decree and intention of your heart as it goes forth now to accomplish as spoken, in gratitude for us being brought together in this configuration at this time. Take a deep breath in, exhale and bow in gratitude. And so it is. Namaste. Thank you.
Beautiful, dear Paulette. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you. And while we're in this beautiful frequency, I would like to suggest that we all go to gallery view and honor what Paulette just called our holy purpose. So everyone here today is making a difference in the world. And so we honor all of you. And let's just give a shout out to one another. Thank you. Thank you for all you are and all you do. And thank you for being here with us today so that we can share and find out a little bit about what's going on with all of these amazing synergy circles. So to conduct the rest of our meeting, I turn this over to our man of the hour, our extraordinary original coordinator of the synergy circles, Dr. Kurt Johnson. Thank you, Kurt.
Yeah, so thank you. So welcome, everybody, and thank you for joining us. And a special thanks to my co-coordinator of the Synergy Circles, Roger Briggs, who you'll meet in a moment as well. He's a new EL who has stepped up to that role. And also a huge thanks to the Synergy Circle advisors who meet regularly. That's Diane Williams and Barbara Layton, Nancy Brown, Deborah Moldow, Jude Currivan, Julie Crow, and Bob Atkinson. So in the last weeks and days, I've gotten a lot of queries about today's gathering, and most often it's been, what is this? And why is this happening? So that's what I'm going to address first. So we have 25 synergy circles and 6 collaboratories. And more than quite a few of them are scaled up now to the capabilities of creating initiatives, events, and media of very substantial magnitude. So it was important that we have a forum where they can talk to each other with some regularity. Just like we in the EL community, we have the EL Council where individual members of the Evolutionary Leaders can talk to each other. So the goal of these congresses is to increase the collaboration and the coherence of that collaboration across our community. Because with all of our recent growth and activity, we do have the potential to become a significant voice in the world. Now, we've done a lot, but we have a long way to go to become as influential as we might. So now a short history. The idea for thematic groups leading activist engagement from our community began to emerge at the 2016 Ghost Ranch Advance. And at the next EL Advance at Chapel of the Sacred Mirrors in New York, a circle was formed to write the guidelines that we still have today. And by the time of the advance in Santa Barbara, California, circles were already starting to recruit. Now, the official posting of Synergy Circles as part of the Evolutionary Leaders began in 2020 with the SDG Thought Leaders Circle and its website. And its members drafted the Unitive narrative statement about our cosmological vision. And it has become the standard for the vision that we all share. So the Unitive Narrative Circle and the Biocultural Sacred Site Circle followed very soon thereafter. And today, the roster is over 30. So today, there'll be 19 circles in 15 groups that'll be reporting to you, each having 2 minutes to update you on what they're doing. And then we'll have a plenary session with specific emphases that we'll announce at that time, where you can not only ask questions, but you can also talk to each other. Now, with everyone who's here, and with so many of us, this whole thing might get a little bit wonky, but we ask for your patience because we think that in our relaxed and informal tone, we're going to be able to really make this work. So my last comment is that in the last weeks, we, and that means the teams that I've just mentioned above, have been revising the guidelines for the Synergy Circles and Collaboratories to catch us up structurally to all the growth that we've had. So a big thank you to all of those who have helped with that. So I'm going to make a couple more announcements now about what I'm going to be putting into the chat, and then I'm going to move on to a short graphic, and then we'll move ahead. So the announcements are that the Media Collaboratory has created a universal calendar, universal event calendar for the EL community, with a big thanks to John Raymer. And the links for that, again, with the instructions and a video on how to use it, will all go into the chat. And also, again, the Media Collaboratory, and again, with a big thanks to John Raymer, are in the midst of a media asset inventory, and with the Education Collab, a content creation asset inventory. Because we want to take a look at what is the breadth of the content creation from our community, and of what is the breadth of our ability to get that messaging out. And then the third thing I'll be putting into the chat, and again, this is another thanks to John Raymer, is we have a resource navigator, which is a universal Google Doc for anybody who has told us all about them. All that information is there across the community, and you can go in and find out what everyone is doing. Now, the last thing I'm going to do is share a graphic and just say a few more comments. I think, as you know, the SDG Circle sponsored this amazing event at St. John the Divine Cathedral in New York City on September 19th, the day before the United Nations Summit for the Future. And what you're missing at the top was just the statement about what the Synergy Circles are, and I've already shared that. But what came out of this amazing meeting in September was a real deep understanding of what it really takes for us to scale up, and why we really are a community that can do that. So the first thing that they pointed out in their conclusions was that the thing that makes something become successful is that there's a need for it. And that's what is in the why there. Why do we fit into that? Well, it's because we address a landscape of real global challenges. The second point that they made was, what is it that's unique about your approach that would lead you to success? And that in front of you now is under the how. And that is that our approach is spiritually grounded, vision-driven, and holistic. And the next 7 points were characteristics of what makes a community and its circles able to scale up to an influential level. And I'll just run through those because they're really powerful. Our approaches must simultaneously serve the individual EL and EL's organization and the wider potential and impact of the larger EL community. Our approaches must be coherent, but also adaptable to the diversity of vision and passions in our community. Our aim is to enable empowered participation, creativity, and innovation. We must be able to lean in deeply for compromises and finding win-win solutions together. We are results and process focused, but we are always appreciative. We generate radical collaboration and enable structures that are scalable. And here's where I want to take my hat off to all of you. Our work is persistent and courageous. So now over to all you courageous people, we're going to go into the reporting part. And I think we're going to begin, but there will be a bell that Deborah will be ringing sometime around 2 minutes in. And she's going to give some flexibility to that, but we do want to keep the whole thing moving along. So listen for that. And I think probably on the screen, you're going to see me and who also is the reporter, but we'll just see how that works. So first is, because it's so important, from the Unitive Narrative Circle, Dr. Robert Atkinson from the Unitive Narrative Circle.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Kurt. Happy to lead off since, as you said, the Unitive Narrative Synergy Circle was one of the first. And the Unitive Narrative text was originally drafted by the SDG Thought Leaders Circle and then adopted by the Evolutionary Leaders as a whole. The text also frames the DRTC mission. Grounded in unitive consciousness, unitive narratives represent a cosmological vision, a holistic worldview, and a convergence of the latest scientific breakthroughs and universal spiritual wisdom. Unitive narratives are narratives that bring about unity. A unitive narrative invites us to embrace the complementarity and wholeness of seemingly opposing forces, such as feminine and masculine, to bring about unity in the diversity of expressions on our way to a consciousness of wholeness. Our AI-generated description, written for a 12-year-old, keeps it simple. The unitive narrative helps us to understand that everything in the world is connected. It's like a giant web where each part depends on the others. Like a jigsaw puzzle, every piece has its place. And like a team, we all have our roles to play in working together for the same goal. This is foundational to what is emerging and expanding in all our work. A unitive perspective in our varied ways of approaching the whole enables us to have a common grounding. This is explicit in concepts we're becoming familiar with, such as unitive education, unitive justice, unitive economics, unitive global governance, unitive media, and more, all designed to bring about unity in their sphere of implementation. So the Unitive Narrative Synergy Circle wants to help bring about unity in all our collaborative efforts and to help us all keep our focus on the whole. To this end, we are now offering to work with all other synergy circles and collaboratories to bring into greater public awareness the reality of the wholeness of all things. We will follow up with specific invitations for carrying this out very soon, and you'll find more info and links in the chat. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Bob, very much. So next, we're going to actually move to the collaboratories first because they're circles of circles. So the first report is from the Media Collaboratory with my colleague, Roger Briggs.
I'm going to share screen. Are we good there?
We're good.
All right. I just have 2 slides here, and everyone's seen that.
Yeah.
So the Media Collaboratory was formed last fall. We're fairly young, under the leadership of Kurt Johnson, and my role, as I see it, is really to assist Kurt. I think we all appreciate how much Kurt does and what a connector he is, what a weaver he is of this our whole space. So it really came out of the need to increase our collective impact. And I think that all of us are involved in trying to reach people out in the world with our messages and all asking the same question: how can we increase our impact? And the idea of the collaboratory, I think, is instead of each of us trying to do that in siloed fashion and increase our own channels and broadcasting ability and messaging, that while we need to be doing that, we also need to scale up by working together. So we're trying to figure out what collaboration really looks like. Everyone's in favor of collaborating, but what are the actual structures that enable us to do that? We like to think in spirit that we really touch all the other circles and collaboratories, and that in a way we'd like to be the connective tissue that supports and connects everyone in this space. Our core group is 8 people, and we meet once a week. And everyone's invited to join in if you want, but we've got a pretty solid group here that we meet for about an hour and a half every week. Some of the things that we're up to, we've kind of bifurcated into 2 channels, though they're not really separate. Kind of recognize that there's 2 aspects to this. One is events and the other is messaging. We have a tremendous number of events in our space, and as Kurt mentioned earlier, we now have a master calendar thanks to Mr. John Raymer. There is a Google form that you enter the information for the event, and then it displays in a master Google calendar. So everyone start using that so we can all see everyone's events. More than that, we're interested in how we can really support and cross promote each other's events. And part of the challenge is that there are so many events. How do we know which ones to promote? And so this is an open question. We certainly have more questions than answers at this point, so that's one of the questions we're constantly returning to. On the messaging side, really the question is how can we get our messages out more strongly and in ways that land better with people, reach more people from the general public. So one of the experiments that we're just embarking on, we might call it the shared resource library. And the idea is that if we take Instagram, for example, if someone develops some really great graphics, that we can drop that into a shared place where other people can use that around messaging that we all share: unity, peace, partnership, love, all those kinds of messaging, the messages that we all like to get out there. Some of the open questions are, how can we not only reach more people, but make our language more accessible to regular people? That's a question I think we've all asked a lot. And what is our common message? If we did have our channels really going, what are the things that we all have in common? And I'm convinced that we really are all talking about the same thing, just with different language. One of the other initiatives that really crosses through all of this is Riane Eisler's work, which we've taken on. So this really is the Cornerstone Synergy Circle, and I think Riane is going to be on in a bit here to talk about that a bit. But there are both events. There's a big event in the fall, the summit event that's planned, as well as many other initiatives. And reaching even further outside of our own space, really the big question is how can we have healthy media worldwide? And using the term healthy here because there's been quite a debate about whether we should call this conscious media or unitive media or evolutionary media. So I'll just use healthy as a placeholder for the moment. That's an ongoing discussion. I'll just quickly mention that Anne-Marie is developing a European hub and has a pretty elaborate proposal around that to utilize her networks there. And I'm pursuing a lot of conversations outside of our space, particularly with the GaiaNet folks and other people around the world. So that's a quick snapshot of what's going on with the Media Collab, and please get in touch if you want to be involved or have suggestions, ideas, anything. Thank you.
All right, Roger, thanks so much. And following right on that, because it's so pertinent to content creation, is the Education Collaboratory and Dr. Jude Currivan.
Thank you, everyone. It's lovely to be here. The Emergent Educational Collab is co-stewarded by the ELs, the University for the Earth with Pavel Lushka, and the Flourish Project with Wendy Elliott and others. And we'll be bringing together multiple organizations, networks, and regenerative communities, all committed to advancing unitive consciousness, embodied in education and planetary regeneration for scalable impact for evolutionary learning. The ELS community, all of you can play pivotal roles as advocates, thought leaders, mentors, and facilitators, synthesizing unitive wisdom from diverse fields, partnering in pilot programs and helping attract funding. We'll synergize with the DRTC, the Deep and Rapid Transformation Convergence, key opportunity to curate unitive content and programs and welcome co-weaving with the Media Collab, the Conscious Business Synergy Circle, and others. Our prototype for scalable impact over 4 years unfolds over 3 phases, ensuring emergent learning, replicability, and long-term impact. Phase 1 is the first 12 months, and with our next core team call on March the 18th, aims to identify and convene members, partners, and transdisciplinary networks to co-draft an implementation plan and pilot programs, agree principles of governance, stewardship, and unitive evaluation metrics, and secure initial funding for the first 12 months of active impact. Phases 2 and 3 are progressive over the following 3 years, scaling and propagating pilot programs and systemic integration across diverse educational and bioregional scenarios, and in partnership with 4 impact investors. Speaking widely, our conscious evolution requires a transformational shift in how we learn together, and in these in-between times, how to be good ancestors for the future. Unlike traditional education reform initiatives, the EdCollab prototype directly links experiential learning to the regeneration of planetary systems. And vitally, its unitive approach creates a lived experience of Gaian consciousness. And in reframing a meta-crisis as a metamorphosis, which we suggest can very much empower the Media Collab as well, offers inspiration, empowerment, and authentic hope for future generations. And we very much look forward with working more closely together in what we know is the way forward of radical collaboration.
So yeah, Jude, thank you so much. And moving right along now to the Eco Collaboratory, and representing them is Dr. Tamsin Woolley-Barker.
Hello. Well, the Eco-Spirituality and Planetary Civilization Eco Collaboratory is an interesting group. We include over 30 ELs and have 5 participating circles. Each circle is autonomous, but we work together on larger projects. The notable one is the annual Roma Assisi Conference on Spirituality and Sustainability in association with the Vatican Dicastery for Laudato Si. Our circles include the Earth Charter Group with Dr. Rig Clugston, Ken Kitatani, and colleagues, and the Earthwise Center Group, which is a collaborative ecosystem for systems transformation led by Dr. Annalise Smitsman and colleagues. The Choosing Earth Project addresses the whole systems meta-crisis with the inclusive voice of Earth Voice, led by Dwayne Elgin and colleagues. And then the Great Turning Group with Dr. David Corton and colleagues. And finally, the Earth Steward Airship Group, which emerged from the ecological civilization work of Dr. John Cobb and includes myself and Charles Betterton and our colleagues. Charles heads up the Living Earth movement, which is fundamental to what we do, developing programs and publications that inspire and empower us to regenerate Earth, our only home. And the Living Earth movement recently facilitated the submission of a $10 million EPA grant, probably futile, but still inspiring, for the Living Design. And Living Design is a movement for, as you say, experiential living design through evolutionary thinking. And we practice it here at the Borrego Institute for Living Design, which is part of it. And new Living Design Institutes are happening in Mexico, Hawaii, and New Jersey, led by Harry Ovegi at Brand Earth, who is spearheading the Mannahatta Sun Project. And SUN stands for Solstice Unites. This is exciting, a 10-year powwow in Central Park to unite humanity and restore Mother Earth. And Living Earth Movement is the fiscal sponsor for that. At the Living Design Institutes are all held together by indigenous elders and original wisdom, but also guided by my own work at the Teaming Transformation, which is my new book. And it's all about evolutionary thinking and how we can redesign our world in accordance with those practices. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Tamsin. And next is the Founding Mothers Movement. If Laura is here, if I can check. If Laura has not arrived yet, we'll move ahead and move her to later. So is Laura here? Can we check?
I don't see her.
Okay, what we'll do is we'll move her later, and that's fine because it's absolutely great following what Tamsin said to go to John Raymer now from the Unity and Peace Synergy Circle, because it's under that circle that we group all of our event activity. If you've watched our videos, they're all grouped. Event videos are under Unity and Peace. So John's going to catch us up on all of that and the whole event season that's coming up. So John.
Okay. I'm doing a couple things here. I am John Raymer, and I'm honored to represent the Synergy Circle for Unity and Peace. Thank you, Kurt and Diane and Deborah and everything for making this space possible. So together with Ben Bowler from Unity Earth, the indigenous leaders and many evolutionary leaders, we've co-created One World, an online platform with a simple yet profound mission: unite humanity, restore Mother Earth. And we anchor our work in seasonal convergences. So World Unity Week in June, followed by 99 Days of Peace through Unity, and Peace Week in September, including the Days of Global Unity that Rick Olfick's been doing for years. It's a good example of how we're weaving strategies together. Then Enlightening Our Way Together, an Indigenous-led gathering in December. Chairman of Compassion Games, Hereditary Chief Phil Lane, has been behind that for many, many, many years. And then honoring Dr. Martin Luther King in January, followed by 40 Days of Peace and Service that we're in right now. So over time, as I see it, the Evolutionary Leaders Network has evolved from scattered clusters to a hub and spoke model, and now into this multi-hub network represented by our synergy circles and collaboratories. Now, to become a true system of influence, we must strengthen our core while keeping our periphery open to new possibilities, especially in times of challenge. And a culture war on diversity is a war on the very fabric of who we are. Diversity fuels creativity, resilience, and shared purpose. We're connected by our common humanity, but it's our diversity that drives innovation and progress. That's why, alongside Chief Dwayne Perry of the Ramapo Munsee Lenape Nation and Harry Ovegi of Brand Earth, we're launching Solstice unites. A global interconnected powwow for unity and renewal. From 2025 to 2035, Indigenous peoples of Mother Earth will offer this as a gift to the world. The first powwow is going to take place on June 21st, 2025 on the Great Lawn in Central Park. This is a Jubilee year, marking the 750th anniversary of Amsterdam, the 400th anniversary of New York City, and the 175th anniversary of Los Angeles. Now, a powwow is social medicine. This is mass media for mass healing. We invite you to join us. Together, we rise with the sun to restore Mother Earth. Let's shift from individual impact to collective momentum, from isolated efforts to a synchronized evolutionary moment that amplifies our shared mission. Will you stand with us?
John,
I'm going
thank
back
you
to being a
so
tech
much.
host here. Hold on.
No
Good.
worries.
Move my spotlight. And back to you, Kurt.
And
Okay.
thank you, John, for everything that you've done serving this whole community. It's amazing. So what we're going to do, we're going to wait a little bit more to move to FMN. We might actually do that after we have our entertainment from the arts circle. So to move toward that, let's go next to the SDG circle and the Deep and Rapid Transformation group. And that is Heidi Sparks Guber. So Heidi.
Thank you, Kurt. So first, great gratitude to all who have birthed the Synergy Circles. It's really wonderful to have us all together for the first time, and a special acknowledgement of Kurt, who's been keeping us all aware of the evolution of this ecosystem that we're part of. Without his constant reminder, I don't know, the energy that's come from that is now fully realizing here. What is happening with us in the DRTC seems to be a fractal of what is happening with many of the EL Synergy Circles. Kurt reminds us of that all the time, that we're becoming more aware of how we fit together, that is, as the DRTC, and beginning to be a body, but also as part of this group. The DRTC, many of you know, emerged out of the SDG TLC, the thought leader circle around the SDGs that came together about almost 3 years ago. But the DRTC is especially emerging out of that in early 2024 with our shared desire to actually do something, to bring a unitive worldview to transforming the most critical challenges facing our planet. At the UN, because the opportunity presented itself, and all other fields of play like education, conscious business, economics, the places that you all are playing. We're a core team of 8, but our family is growing by leaps and bounds as we offer opportunities for them to play. What we feel that our work is to do is to live at the intersection of being and doing. That is between the vision and the inspiration that so many of you are bringing to us, and then action and realization on the ground that we also know that you're out there doing. We are holding the space for deep and rapid transformation, both, not one or the other, but both together. And in that space, there's a whole lot to discover and realize. In constituting ourselves around this commitment of deep and rapid, we have morphed from phase 1, which was in May and September of 2024, a series of 7 sets of 3, at least 3 roundtables each of dialogue organized around the dimensions of the Summit of the Future, so that we could arrive at the convergence ready to infuse those into the action days and into the Summit of the Future. So we've morphed from that to phase 2, which is the September 19th convergence, where 86 or more came together in person to reify our commitment to transformational action. Now in phase 3, which was launched with the February 13th DRTC gathering, is to amplify the process of self-organization into opportunity teams, all of which are being synthesized along the way with a curated platform of augmented intelligence. One example is Kieran, and that's really allowed us to deepen and advance the dialogues and the action because of that AI, that augmented help. And that was an offering from our Science, Technology, and Innovation group. It emerged there at their first dialogue, and it's been working for us ever since. We are now welcoming people who have expressed interest into the process of moving into real action in these different opportunity groups. Jude mentioned one of them, which is generate and support holistic programming. Jude is one of the co-leads of that. We also have one called convening ongoing DRTC gatherings that support the cross-pollination that's coming from all of our work. Developing a wisdom tank. Joni Carley is leading that one. Plan and support exemplary projects that are beginning to support what's already happening and to create new experiments. And publish and promote DRTC findings. You've heard about that. And finally, innovative and collaborative funding. So that's where we're going now. That's how we're self-organizing, and you'll be hearing a lot more about that. I think what I would like to say is we're, in addition to welcoming people, we're now seeing, the DRTC group is now seeing how that connects us to all of you in fulfilling our EL promise of the evolutionary leaders. We know this will become clearer as we increase our understanding of our system within, and we're really grateful for this opportunity. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Heidi. Wow. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to actually wait to see whether Laura joins us after our performance by the Artist Synergy Circle. And so we're just going to move to that now. So I'm going to pass back to Deborah. Deborah will be introducing Omashar and Reverend Retta, and John will be highlighting them, and they will take it away.
Thank you, Kurt. And thank you, all you amazing synergy circles. Oh my God, and collaboratories. I'm just blown away by not only the nature of the work that you're doing, but your dedication and your passion. And it's just really exciting to see all of this blossoming. And I just want to take a minute to give a shout out to our founding organization, the Source of Synergy Foundation. The Source of Synergy Foundation had this idea for synergy circles in its founding documents in the way back, and was producing synergy circles around events and different visions all along. And it's been wonderful to see these thematic synergy circles then emerge out of that concept. So a big thank you to our founder, Diane Marie Williams, and our executive director, Barbara Layton. So thank you so much. Without your work and dedication, none of this would be happening. So we're very deeply grateful to you.
And Nancy Brown, our board chair as well.
And Nancy's here, the chair of our board, and she has stepped in wonderful ways as well, and is one of our newer evolutionary leaders. So thank you. Okay, we have one synergy circle. It's thematic like the rest of them, but it's very different in its orientation, and that is the artists catalyzing evolution, or ACE Synergy Circle, that was started by Kristen Hoffman and Keishi Chai. And so we asked them if they might like to offer us some kind of presentation that's a little bit different from the reports that we've gotten from the other circles. And we know they're a very close-knit group. They meet every month, and they've bonded amazingly. So we're very excited to hear now from our evolutionary musician, Omashar, and from Reverend Retta Morgan. Thank you.
You, peace and blessings. So good to be here with you today. So from our circle, I'm going to share a piece that I wrote, and Omashar is going to very generously join as we weave a duet. It's a thing we do in our circle. We do a lot of collaboration through the different art forms that we embody and work from. So this poem is called The Falling. It was written sitting by the ocean. It is a poem, it is a prayer, and it is a declaration. Ancient walls fall through tears and fears and missed possibilities, melting one layer of catastrophe at a time. Ancient walling wails, falling and unwalling, cradled in a womb of wanting, turning down a tunnel toward life. Ancient walls fall, and I will never be the same. We'll have to choose a new name, a name that moves like the wind, that bends and retains its shape, a name the universe hears and answers. Ancient walls fall. The beloved is now at hand. It had been my own fear, that wall, the magnitude of love that stands before me, the love that is me, is now, is right here. Ancient walls fall into an unknowing future. Knowing has changed her address. She sits on a new hill overlooking a horizon carved from the bones of healed scars, forged from the bonds she can now make. The ancient ones have danced the falling. Music unrestrained the notes. Time and gravity arranged an alchemical sequence. The wall is no more. The wall falls no more. No more falling and wailing. That wall that once was. No more falling and wailing from that wall which once was.
Wow. All right, that was fantastic. Now, we have two people who need to leave before 1 o'clock, and I'm going to go to them next. And I, again, pardon, it's been so nice to have a bunch of silence after that beautiful presentation, but we have two people who need to go. So Riane Eisler is going to be next from the Cornerstone Synergy Circle. And then, because I think Laura is not going to be able to make it, Anadea Judith is going to be able to report for FMM, but also has to leave before 1. So Riane, bless your heart, over to you.
Thank you so much. And it's really a pleasure to be with you all and to tell you about the Cornerstone Synergy Circle, which was founded with more than 20 evolutionary leaders with a core team that meets twice a week. And it's also supported by professionals from outside the ELs. And yes, it works closely with the Feminine Collaboratory. So the Cornerstone Circles emphasizes key elements of my life's work, from my well-known books on partnership, beginning with a book you probably all know, The Chalice and the Blade. And we have 3 unfolding initiatives. I call the 4 cornerstones. And these are 4 elements that determine if a social system is more partnership-oriented or dominance-oriented. Now, the first cornerstone is the childhood experience that shapes us and our norms. The second is the attitude of a culture to gender and inclusion. The third is economics and how it may have a ranking system of who is, quote, in and who is, quote, out. The fourth is story and language, what that story conditions people to believe. And of course, they're all connected. Now, we have 3 active initiatives, each with a high potential to scale. And you can see more at our website, Riane Eisler, connectingthedots.com. Now, one is an online summit, Peace Begins at Home, which it does. And it will be part of the EL September 2025 events. Another is a visioned film competition, about which we will announce more soon. The third, also partner with the ELs, is Art for a Partnership Culture, working closely with John Raymer. Now, right now, we're centered on these 3 activities, but we welcome interactions with all of you and are happy to see so much going on across the synergy circles and collaboratories. I thank you.
So, Riane, and we thank you, and we know you have to run to a 1 o'clock meeting with someone in Europe. So,
thank you. Thank you so much. I do have to run to another meeting, but I was so glad that I could be with you for just a bit and tell you a little about this circle, the synergy circle of that's so very close to my heart. And thank you, Kurt, and thank you, Deborah, and thank you, all of you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. All right, so I think now in the nick of time to get Anadea Judith to a 1 o'clock meeting, she can speak a bit about the Founding Mothers Movement. So, Anadea.
Hello, everyone. I'm just stepping in, so I don't have prepared remarks, but the Founding Mothers Movement came out of the Feminine Force Collaboratory, and we started about a year and a few months ago. We launched on July 5th, and it's a large coalition of women's groups, peace groups, environmental groups, and religious groups or spiritual groups. And it's not an organization in itself, but we are trying to form coalition among all these groups for the purpose of women's equality and the holy stand for peace in our world, realizing that those 2 elements are essential for all the changes we want to make. So at the core of this is the Peace Room, based on Barbara Marx Hubbard's Wheel of Co-Creation. And we have members representing 11 different aspects of the Peace Room. And then we have operational circles. We have a media circle to get our message out there. We have a partnership circle that is reaching out to other organizations to bring them into coalition. Out of the ones who do join, they send a delegate. We have a women's congress once a month on the first Saturday of every month, where we do business and meet together. We have a proclamation circle, which has been put together by a bunch of lawyers and people from the UN. And this is our proclamation of what we demand in terms of peace and in terms of women's rights and perhaps the Universal Bill of Women's Rights. We have a tech circle to handle all the tech, and campaign circle, which is how we campaign to bring about our objectives. And our next one is International Women's Day, and that's coming up, and for a women's strike on that day. Thank you.
All right, Anadea, thank you so much. And now I think you can make your 1 o'clock meeting as well. So,
all right. Great to hear everyone. So inspiring.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
I agree very much. And again, I just want to apologize to the artist group. Usually we want to honor that with some quiet afterwards, and with people needing to leave, I'm so sorry, but I know that everyone's resonating about it. So let's move on now to actually one of the more recent circles, which we've been looking toward for a long time. And that's the New Generation Leaders Synergy Circle. And speaking for that group will be Tatiana Speed.
Yes, hello everyone. I am honored to be here speaking on behalf of the New Generation Leaders for an Awakening World. Our group was started by our dear Scott Katamis and Deborah Moldow, and it is a intergenerational co-evolutionary mastermind group where emerging leaders under 40 are coming together in connection, in collaboration with our elders to co-create the next wave of conscious leadership on the planet. And it's been such a beautiful exchange of energy and inspiration, and truly the wisdom flowing both directions. Our elders come with their decades of life experience, their spiritual maturity, their mastery, their wisdom, and their guidance, and really are providing mentorship and support to emerging leaders to step into their gifts, into their service, into their missions, which comes, stepping into leadership has its unique challenges, initiations, rites of passage. So their mentorship and support has been absolute gold, so deeply valuable. And the wisdom is really flowing both ways. The emerging leaders, we come with our fresh perspectives, are having our pulse on some of the emerging paradigms, technologies, ways that the world is very rapidly changing. So it's been just such a beautiful exchange of perspectives, energy, wisdom, learning that has been such a blessing for all of us. We are a pretty new circle, about 5 or 6 months old. Right now there are 5, our core group there's 5 emerging leaders and 4 elders, so a really beautiful balance. But we do want to say that our hearts are open. We are here with open arms to embrace anyone who feels inspired to join our circle, any young people, any elders, anyone, to be part of this intergenerational co-evolutionary learning and growing together, which I personally feel is such a need on this earth. So that's a little bit about us. Thank you so much for having us here.
Oh, Tatiana, thank you. And if we had more time, as everybody knows, we would love to hear you sing as well. That would have been So let's move ahead now to Conscious Business, which has such a storied history as one of our early circles that has done so much. So for that, a new person who's taken the lead there, and a handoff, is Valerie Vandermeer. So Valerie.
Thank you, Kurt. It's great to be here. What an amazing program this is. As Kurt just said, Joanna, Dom, and I are the new co-leaders. Ours was one of the earlier synergy circles, and I'm going to share my screen right now and just show you a couple of slides. So we have 75 members now, even though we were one of the earlier circles. We started with 3 leaders, though. So Deborah had this idea a long time ago that business can be a lever for change. And she shared that with Kurt and Steve and said, we should do something to empower business to make this happen. And I'm greatly oversimplifying, but they made it happen. And we're appreciative, deep gratitude to Deborah, because she followed that impulse, and to Kurt and Steve as well, and other early adopters who nurtured that vision to life. We also have great gratitude for Peter, who has led this group with love and wisdom for many years and oversaw significant milestones like the Conscious Business Magazine and the World Summit. His leadership, though less formal, is still going to be vital and influential going forward. So since our inception, the mission of the Conscious Business Synergy Circle has been to empower the transformative potential of business. Over the past few months, a small working group of us, Jude, myself, and Joanna, dove deeper into our purpose as a synergy circle, and we emerged with a framework of questions to provide context as we all explore our future in this circle. One of the questions is, what are we being called to envision and co-create? How do we tap into the enormous rush of evolutionary opportunity we feel happening right now? What processes can we design to translate our visions in practical ways to transform business? And how can we do all of that in deeply congruent resonance with each other and with all of humanity? We have some ideas. Maintain coherence so we can consciously co-create and grow together. Create a lexicon to build powerfully resonant, inclusive, and inspiring communication. Design structure and process so we can scale capacities for change. And champion and uplift the conscious business sector where there's so much great work already being done and we can help them increase their impact there. So we profoundly believe that we have the capacity to influence the transformation of business as a positive force for change. It's an exciting time to be alive because there's so much already happening, and we look forward to sharing the continuing journey with you. Thank you.
Valerie, thank you so much. And we're actually getting there, everybody, and we're looking good on the clock. So next is going to be biocultural sacred sites. They're scattered around the world, so I said I would share for them. So here we go. The Biocultural Sacred Sites and Sacred Science Synergy Circle is a circle principally peopled by our ELs who are Indigenous leaders and or ELs greatly in support of those activities. And it works regularly with the UNESCO Heritage Sites Department and others. It has 6 subgroups. One has centered on the work of Chief Phil Lane Jr., one on the work of Chief Dwayne Perry, one on the work of Mendahi Bastido Munoz with regular support from the Earth Charter Group from the Eco Collaboratory, one working with Oscar Miro Posada and Juan Carlos Caitan, one centered on the First Peoples of Australia through the Ben Bowler family, a media group that has supported it with e-magazines and radio programs, and another diverse group of ELs that is dedicated to building out the work of the circle through other leaders and additional sacred places. The principal shared work has been sacred ceremony around the world, including Japan, Australia, multiple sites in the United States, Mexico, and South America, all for the healing of Mother Gaia. And the most recent ceremony was in Cambodia at Angkor Wat in 2024, which actually grew out of the EL retreat in Mexico, the group that then went to Cambodia. A big highlight for this circle was in 2019, when the circle was founded, when Mendahi Bastida presented a petition directly to Pope Francis asking for the rescinding of the doctrine of discovery. An e-publication was also done on all these activities at that time, and I'll share that in the chat. And there was also an in-person gathering that was held on the sacred indigenous lands at Crestone, Colorado, near Four Corners in 2020 as a second part of the Crestone Leadership Conference, after which several new synergy circles emerged. So you can inquire about that synergy circle either with me or with the other coordinator, Roger Briggs. So thanks for your attention to that. And we're going to move now to Unitive Justice and the Earth Governance Collaboratory. And for that, we have a video, 2-minute video from Elena Mustakova that John is going to share with us.
Hello, dear friends who are attending the Congress of Synergy Circles of Evolutionary Leaders. On behalf of the Unitive Justice Synergy Circle and the Earth Governance Collab, I'm happy to share with you that in response to the rapidly escalating erosion of democracy and humanitarian principles in the US and in Europe, we, in our Synergy Circle, and in what was formerly the Earth Governance Collab, are moving towards consolidating our efforts into a focus on building a strong voice in the public square on behalf of foundational principles of unity and justice, and the need for governance for unity and justice. This emergent collab hopes to collaborate with the Alliance for Unitive Justice, as well as all other collabs and evolutionary leaders who recognize the urgent need to overcome the disunity which weakens global civil society, so that we can mobilize a strong and clear response to support the most important and practical recommendations of the Pact for the Future, which point toward the restructuring of global governance, toward unitive justice. Hence, our future work will unfold under the umbrella of Governance for Unity and Justice Collab. Thank you and have a wonderful Congress.
Yeah, thank you, Elena. And Elena is over in Eastern Europe, which is why she can't be here. That group's been doing some amazing work. So now we're going to go to Jeff Genung, who's going to be representing two sets of circles, the circles that connect us to the Holomovement and the circles that connect us to Prosocial. So Jeff Genung.
Thank you. This is like home day, seeing all your faces, and highlight of the day. It is so good to be with you. And when I think about what does a conscious and compassionate superorganism look like, it looks like when I change the view to gallery, a lot like that. So I am going to share a little bit about the Holomovement and about Prosocial World. For those that don't know what the Holomovement is, it was a word that was originally coined by David Bohm in his vision of a profoundly interconnected holographic universe. But it's not an organization. It's really a movement of movements, and something that's been in incubation for over 50 years, something whose time has come. And I'll share with you some of the key things that are takeaways, but the most actionable things I'm going to put in the chat so that you can just kind of copy. But one of the things that's really, really important that's going on is the WAVE event. So this would be the third annual WAVE event. Last year was in Ibiza. Prior to that was in Sedona. And, kind of what we're touching into here, all of the various individuals, organizations, initiatives that are kind of coming together. This is really what the Holomovement WAVE is about. The WAVE this year is going to be in Asheville, North Carolina in May. Here is some information on that. And they also have a special discount for evolutionary leaders. And so this is going to bring together an extraordinary group of people. And they're pieces to the puzzle, because there is no panacea. There is no one size fits all. It's a collective effort. So some of the things that we're kind of taking in here, lots of evolutionary leaders, but also focus areas in different aspects of the human experience are going to be coming together. Not so much for information, but transformation. Not so much for talking about things, but experiencing things. A real emphasis on experience and embodiment. And also those that may be interested in coming and volunteering, I've got some information on that as well, where you could come with very substantial discounts and participate that way. And as you know, Asheville was devastated by a hurricane. And so having the Holomovement there at this time with this emphasis on engagement and service and embodiment couldn't be a better place. And very much like Sedona, Asheville also is a place of really high energy in the beautiful Blue Ridge Mountains. So all the information there is there on that. Just a couple things about Prosocial World. Prosocial World is a nonprofit organization whose mission is to consciously evolve a world that works for all. It integrates multiple sciences, Ostrom's core design principles that she won the Nobel Prize for, modern evolutionary science, the science of cooperation, and then contextual behavioral science. But then the exciting thing is that corpus of scientific frameworks is also expanding in integration of spiritual frameworks as well. And one of the things that we're launching this year that has been in the works for the last 3 years is something called Prosocial Spirituality. And it integrates Wayne Teasdale's 9 elements of universal spirituality into these scientific frameworks, and then also adds Parker Palmer's Circle of Trust work, so for trust building, and then also contemplative practices. And then I also have a video that really kind of takes about 5 minutes to really give you a good overview of what that is. That's the Prosocial Spirituality video. So there's lots of different ways to engage, and I'm really glad to have the opportunity to share some of these with you. Back over to you, Kurt. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. And everybody, we only got 2 more to go, so it looks like our plenary is looking good. I'm going to make a request to John. When we go over to this next group, John, I noticed that when we put the link for the calendar into the chat, because it was embedded, it wasn't available. So if you can put a live link for the calendar itself into the chat, I'd appreciate that. So next we're going to go to the inner focus group, and that is Jeanne and John Pehrson. So Jeanne and John.
Hold on. I got Jeanne here.
There we go.
All right. Sorry, guys.
Oh, can't see John. Leaning closer.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, the Inner Focus group is actually a subgroup to the Contact and Conscious Evolution Circle that started close to going into the 3rd year now. And Diane Williams and John Pehrson and myself, we, with the help of a few others, created what we call the Inner Focus Group. It is a loving space where those of us who have had or are having contact experiences, whether with extraterrestrials, with those who have passed from the physical, experiences with the natural world, etc., might come together and share in confidence. This is so we can learn from and make sense of what we have encountered. We also share practices to help awaken the dormant powers within us. All of this is to help create a higher vibrational field of consciousness, a higher state of awareness where the possibility of overt and ongoing communication and caring interaction with life at all levels, life upon and beyond our planet Earth, can take place.
Thanks, Jeanne. I just want to add that we don't record these calls, and what we share is confidential. And the reason for that is it's really important to have a safe space, because as you might imagine, sharing contact experiences with extraterrestrials or with people who have passed over, or psychic experiences or mystical experiences, they can be pretty personal, and confidentiality is required. We meet every second Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern U.S. time. And I just want to also say that right now it's open to all the evolutionary leaders, and we plan soon to open it up to the public. So I just want to say we're living in a period of accelerated change and transformation. The veil between realities is growing very thin. Our star brothers and sisters are providing help more overtly than in the past, and the Inner Focus Group provides a safe space to discuss that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Jeanne and John. And that is one of the most inspiring and engaging circles that we have available to us. It's truly amazing, those discussions, along with the EL Lounge. So last and absolutely not least is Contact and Conscious Evolution, and that is Alan Steinfeld and Desiree Hurtak. I hope Alan hasn't had to leave, but if Desiree's here, or both of you,
yeah,
please, you're next.
I'm going to start. Yeah, we're Contact and Consciousness Evolution. Our team is Diane Williams, Alan Steinfeld, my husband, Dr. J.J. Hurtak, and myself, and whoever actually wants to share. So we are discussing amongst ourselves, and we bring in experts all the time to introduce consciousness change, how we can make consciousness change work. And in fact, I'll just do a plug here for Evolutionary Leaders. I hope we can do something as a workshop there during the EL retreat that's going on. So our main focus recently has been disclosure, which some of you are familiar with, that's going on with the government. And we're coming together also in a larger gathering that's free in mid-March with a new EL called Neil Gar, who's with Portal to Ascension, and it's called The Real Disclosure. It's March 10th to 12th. And Alan, do you want to pick up from here? Are you there?
I'm here. Do you hear me? Do you see me?
You're good. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, what's so exciting is that the whole disclosure movement has taken another turn, something that the ELs have been interested in for a long time, which is consciousness. There's been recently a whistleblower coming out from the government named Jacob Barber, who says that consciousness is the key to making contact. And he says he is one of these people trained in psionics, where he can make this conscious effort to connect with these craft, whatever they are, wherever they're from, and actually communicate, and sometimes, I know it sounds outrageous, but land these craft. So this consciousness level that's coming from inside the government, that's been leaked out, is very much in touch with what everything we're trying to do here with the evolutionary leaders is about the evolution of consciousness. So this evolutionary moment is not just about making contact, it's also coming forward in the telepathy tapes. If I recommend listening to that, if anyone hasn't. This is like non-verbal autistic children, non-speakers, who are already so vastly aware of the realms of consciousness that we could only imagine, and where it's an education. So that's another breakthrough in the realms of consciousness, which some people feel these ETs exist on that realm, which is sort of beyond the spoken verbal communication, and we need to develop this psychic input, which is why the workshops that I'm doing with the Hurtaks on remote viewing have become so popular. People are suspicious of this, or on the keyed into the fact that this inner awareness is really the nature of the human experience, and the only way we're really going to make outer contact is develop what we are, who we are, and our potential to transcend time and space. And this is what the remote viewing courses do. So I've been developing a course called Remote Viewing for Making Contact. And we'll talk a little bit about that on this upcoming Portal to Ascension event that's happening in March 10th, 11th, and 12th. There's actually 3 levels. Everyone's invited. It's a free event. As the first level is the real disclosure, what the government is saying. The second level is what's the theology that needs to be developed in order to incorporate a new worldview based on contact. And the third day, March 12th, it's about the experiencer's input, which has to do with this whole idea of consciousness. So it's very exciting moments in history, I think, as far as the EL synergy circles. This is a key organ in the movement forward that, needs to be considered. We need to consider ourselves as part of a cosmos that is interactive, and that, in a sense, who we are as conscious beings is transcendent of the human dimension. And actually, in a sense, you could say we are the extraterrestrials. I know that may be too way out, but who we are is beyond time and space, and the remote viewing courses prove that. So we're at the edge here of some new revelations for humanity and a real future for all of us.
Yes, we are on the edge of the evolution, and all of you are contributing such beautiful work. So the last word, of course, goes to the one and only Dr. Kurt Johnson.
Well, I'm hardly the one and the only. I mean, I would just say that it's amazing the community that we have here and the amount of synergy that we're able to produce. And like I said at the beginning, we've done a lot. But to have the impact that we could have on the world, we have a lot more to do. And what I'm grateful for, and I know many of you are, is the people who are really working together in that direction about how this community can really be a significant voice for the change that we want to see. Now, I'm happy to stay if people have questions. I don't know what the parameters are for that with Deborah. I know people will need to go. But if people have other questions or wish to crosstalk more, I can certainly stay. It's up to how people want to use the time. So I just want to thank you. This was amazing because we didn't rehearse it, believe it or not. We just got on and let it happen. So thanks to everybody.